In 1860, the Holy City, as it is sometimes called given the number of its churches and the Mecca-like significance it held in the hearts of so many Southerners, was a quieter place, without today's constant low rumble of cars, the irritating drone of planes. It was darker then, too. It would be many years before the advent of electric streetlights. Even the then recently installed but relatively feeble gas lights still allowed the stars to dance, splashing dollops of light on the men gathered below, talking softly among themselves. Those men were federal troops stationed at Fort Moultrie, standing on Sullivan's Island, a scythe-like arm of land arcing into Charleston's harbor. There was no wind, and the crispness of the night, 44 degrees at 9 p.m., was in keeping with the clear, beautiful day. The rolling waters of the harbor could both mask sound with their incessant chopping and, in calmer moments, carry it great distances, so that listeners gathered something was happening but had trouble identifying precisely what. The waves also reflected light. No wonder the men were unusually alert. One of the soldiers was especially pensive, his high furrowed brow mimicking the rippled water. In his mid-50s, 5 feet 9 inches tall, he was thick-set and soldierly, with thinning iron-gray hair, dark, intelligent eyes, and skin roughened by war in foreign lands. A prominent nose led his face. His voice was rich and sonorous. He had an air of dignity and conviction. Unlike many who would direct the fighting in the Civil War, he was a man of experience. Those intelligent eyes had seen fighting. That strong voice had urged others into battle, sometimes to their death, other times to glory. He had fought against the Florida Indians, served with Abraham Lincoln in the Black Hawk War in 1832, and suffered a nasty wound in the Mexican War. He was once called a man of undaunted courage. He was also a Southerner in the odd position of being in charge of a federal fort in South Carolina's harbor. Major Robert Anderson's plan that December night was as audacious as its effect would be dramatic. Its success depended on fooling the ears and the eyes of listening and watching sentinels, and on just a little bit of luck. Should he succeed, the United States would be set on a path of destruction, its eventual scale taxing the imagination of even the most fanciful minds. We cannot reliably say that the Major's actions the night of December 26, 1860, caused the Civil War. Such a claim simplifies what is messy and contingent. Anderson acted in a context not of his making. He inherited the decisions of others. But his actions that night set into motion a series of events that led to a very bloody war. Had the Major not acted, it would have started someplace, somewhere, and very probably in Charleston, South Carolina. It was just too emotionally charged an environment for the spark not to be struck here. Yet it would not have unfolded as it did had the Major not decided to abandon his base at Fort Moultrie and occupy, without explicit orders, the larger, more powerful fort guarding the harbor, Fort Sumter. In doing so, according to the Charleston Courier, he achieved the unenviable distinction of opening civil war. Water was the challenge. There wasn't much of it between Moultrie and Sumter, barely a mile, in fact. But on that night, the swelling crests, imported without tariff from the mighty Atlantic Ocean, were clearly accented by moonlight. So much was visible, and so much could be heard. Human voices, rattling oars, the cut of the boat, all traveled over the water. Ears were everywhere, on land, at sea, on a Confederate patrol boat plying the waters between the forts. Anyone daring to move over that spit of water was vulnerable and exposed. Still, there was no wishing it away, and the water lay between the Major and his destination, an impressive granite construction, walls 60 feet high in places, lodged in the mouth of Charleston's harbor.